On my formerly non-existent, but now trademarked and fully canon TCAP Q rating scale, there is one person who deserves more infamy than he probably receives. He wore a SpongeBob jacket, carried a laptop full of porn, and walked his way directly into a felony crime hoping to meet a 12-year-old. I present this unsung zero, arrested in Ocean County, New Jersey, and introduced to the world on July 18th, 2007. From doing time to busting rhymes, let's talk about Malik Kareem Washington. Unsung Zero, number 1. Before he became a famous television predator, 27-year-old Malik Washington was a GameStop assistant manager. Allegedly. Now I say allegedly because I just can't imagine a scenario where Malik was one assassination away from managing a GameStop. And if you're wondering why someone would want to take out a GameStop manager, then you have clearly never worked for a Best Buy. They play to win. Entranced by a perverted justice volunteer, Malik began chatting with a decoy named Paris that he believed was 12 years old. 12 years old. He made plans to take the child's virginity and also planned to teach her about both giving and receiving oral sex. Not satisfied with his already arrest-worthy chat log, Malik would explain his desire to have anal sex with the child. After just one day of chatting, Malik would confess he was falling in love with the decoy and even called her his princess. Where have we heard that before? Malik promised he would bring porn and condoms, like a true romantic, and planned his travel from New York to New Jersey. This trip would involve a train ride, several hours of his day, and a 2-mile walk. Well, 2-mile walk if you don't get lost on your way to have a seat, but I don't want to skip ahead. On his journey to the beach, he didn't just cross moral lines, he crossed state lines, now making this a federal crime.
The man in the SpongeBob jacket walks about 2.5 miles right past our street and gets lost.
From the moment Malik is seen on screen, he is played as a joke. This man on the back half of his 20s shows up to assault a girl who hasn't even reached her teens yet, and he is wearing a SpongeBob jacket. Was this a calculated fashion choice to appeal to someone who was in middle school and was probably still getting SpongeBob gummies in her lunchbox? Was it perhaps a nod to alleged abuser Daniel Schneider, who reigned supreme over Nickelodeon Studios for a number of years, despite countless accusations, whispers, and rumors about his intentions and actions with minors? Maybe somehow, it was a telepathic nod from one side of the country to another towards fellow TCAP predator Justin Taylor, at the time a Nickelodeon animator caught in his own Long Beach Dateline sting.
Back at the house, our female decoy is about to say hello to 27-year-old Justin Smith, a video post-production editor who does freelance work for Nickelodeon, the cable network geared towards kids.
Don't worry for Justin though, because even after his arrest in 2007 for trying to have sex with a minor, he was hired back by Nickelodeon in 2019 as a recording engineer on, wait for it,
I was just looking for the sports channel, Gary.
You guessed it, SpongeBob. At least Drake Campagna knows he always has a home at Nickelodeon Studios. Malik appears on screen walking and walking and walking.
This man takes a train into town and then starts walking and keeps walking.
Maybe someone wants to do a drive-by and just see where he's going.
He is hopelessly lost, and the only thing missing is comical tuba music to highlight his fruitless plight. I like to imagine that after a lifetime of failing to show up, of starting projects and never finishing them, or talking about his dreams while doing nothing to fulfill them, Malik decided today would be the day he would actually show up. Unlucky for him, but lucky for the Ocean Beach Police Department and the Dateline camera crew, the one time Malik decided to overcome adversity, it was to commit one of the worst crimes imaginable.
The decoy tells him she's a virgin, and he says, "I could be your first."
That day was today, and he was about to be caught in stunning 4K. Well, stunning 2K. Well, it was more like grainy 480p, but it was in front of an audience of millions.
After walking several blocks out of his way, he finally heads in the right direction and hears our decoy calling him.
Hey!
During his conversation with Casey Morrow, the two casually discussed Malik's intentions and desires with all of the grace and nuance of a prison therapy session.
So I'm kind of nervous.
Now that he's comfortably seated, the decoy tries to find out what he has in mind.
Okay. All right. Well, then, can you explain to me what you think we're gonna do?
First, I was gonna get to know you. I wasn't in a rush to have sex yet. Unless you're in a rush.
I just want to know beforehand, you know.
Ask a question. It'll be easier. What's it called? What should we do first?
Yeah.
Well, if you say you want to take breaks and during the breaks you want to give me I should teach you that first.
Okay.
If you want, it's up to you.
Real people don't talk like this, Malik. Have you ever met an actual 12-year-old? You know what? Actually, don't answer that. The most notable moment of this conversation is when Casey asked Malik if he brought the adult movies into a discussed in their chat log.
Did you bring the porn for the laptop, or?
Yeah, it's porn.
You brought it?
How Malik managed to hold it together here is beyond me, but the idea of him using a laptop for anything other than porn was as laughable to him in 2007 as it is to me in 2023. I can almost guarantee you that every bit of available space on that hard drive was occupied by adware, spyware, viruses, keyloggers, a couple of subbed but not dubbed Dragon Ball Z downloads, and hundreds of gigabytes of LimeWire porn. The only spreadsheets he was interested in was spreading the sheets with someone he believed to be a child, and that's what led him to this very moment. The conversation itself is fine, but it's not until Malik meets Chris Hansen that he truly becomes an unsung zero.
I'm not no rapist.
Listen to how
It's up to
quickly
you.
Loverboy changes his story when I'm the one sitting across from him.
Yeah.
How you doing?
Hello.
You all right?
Yeah, I'm alright.
What's going on?
While almost every other predator reacted with some sort of anger, surprise, or fear when they were confronted by Chris, Malik seemed mostly amused and or annoyed. Casey scampers away, but Malik probably thinks she went to slip into something more comfortable, like, I don't know, Fairly Odd Parents footy pajamas. So he's gonna try and get rid of Chris as soon as possible so he can get down to business and climb out of those giant fucking pants.
How you doing?
Hello.
You all right?
Yeah, I'm alright.
What's going on?
I'm good.
You're good?
Uh-huh.
What were you planning on doing this evening?
Nothing much, just hang out.
And how old are you?
Me, I'm 17.
What year were you born?
He tries to lie immediately, shaving 10 years off of his 27 years, making him 17 and a minor. Now, let's do some quick math. Malik was 27 and born in 1980, so to make himself 17, all he had to do was add 10 to his birth year and boom, 1990. Simple math anyone can do. So what does Malik say?
85, I think. 85, I think.
85.
He's really born in 1980. That makes
Yeah.
him 27.
I already know.
Oh, okay.
I already know a lot of stuff, actually.
He freezes like a deer in the headlights. I think? Who says that? If you commit crimes and you're considering committing crimes with Malik Kareem Washington, don't. Do not. This man crumbles under pressure like the cookies in Donald Morrison's moist, meaty mouth.
You say things online like, and I'm going to give you anal, because you got a nice ass. Those are your words, right? You ask her, when are you ready for me to pop that cherry? I assume that means taking her virginity.
Alright.
Is that true?
Alright, so you asked me all these questions. Who are you?
I'll get to that in a minute.
Oh, you gonna arrest me because... really, to tell you the truth, I was not gonna do anything with her. Like,
You sat out here for a good 10 minutes and you had the opportunity to tell her face to face that you really didn't want to do anything. And that's not what you said, is it, Malik?
yes, I did. I
No,
said...
you didn't. You
No.
said we can start first by talking before we have sex.
No,
And you told her that you brought the porn.
Malik seems to have no understanding of what is going on or what he's walked into. He claims the reason he lied was to keep the 12-year-old out of trouble, despite the fact that he was the adult who tried luring her to sex.
Because I didn't want her to get in trouble, that's why.
You didn't want to get her in trouble. What about getting you in trouble?
Oh, that too.
That too. You knew this girl was how old?
I think 12 or 13.
12. Why did you think it was okay to visit a 12-year-old girl at your age?
First of all, I like to travel, and then
You like to travel?
I like to travel, plus she wants to hang out, so I don't mind. I wasn't planning on doing anything with her.
Instead of acting like someone who was just caught in the act of trying to essay a child, he acts like he was just punked and inconvenienced. He isn't dreading prison. His only dilemma is picking between Super Paper Mario for his Nintendo Wii or Ratchet and Clank Size Matters for PSP when he clocks in tomorrow.
Cause like I ain't came out here to rape or kill or anything. I'm not a bad person.
Well, you know what? But having sex with a 12-year-old, even if she says yes, is considered rape because a 12-year-old by the law cannot consent to having sex. Do you get that?
Oh, I didn't know that.
You didn't know that. You ever watch TV?
Sometimes barely.
You ever hear about that show, To Catch a Predator?
Well, I wasn't trying to be a predator, but
That's
yeah.
not what your transcript would suggest. I'm Chris Hansen with Dateline NBC, and we're doing a story on adults who try to meet kids for sex online.
Chris asks if he has anything to say, and this is when magic is truly made.
If there's anything else you'd like to tell us, we'd like to hear it.
Well, one thing, can I go home?
You can walk right off this beach. Nothing else you want to tell us?
Apparently, Loverboy starts thinking about the long walk back to the train station.
I mean, you can leave the beach.
Can you give me a ride home? Because I want to walk
I can't
back.
give you a ride, I'm sorry.
I had to walk back?
Well, that's up to you. But I'm not in a position to give you a ride, though.
No, I know. They say Gen Z is entitled, but you have to hand it to Malik. This man is a true trendsetter. He could give a shit about grooming, about an arrest, about a television news program, or about accountability. This man wants a ride home. A ride home. I don't know if he expects Chris to give him a ride, or maybe a member of the crew, but just let this settle in for a second. This grown man, a legal adult, showed up to meet and have sex with a 12-year-old. The people involved with this show were adults who at one time were all 12 years old. People with children, brothers and sisters, nieces and nephews, some former victims themselves, some the parents of victims, and he wanted one of them to sit in the car with him and taxi him home so he didn't have to waste his time or money on public transportation. Because remember this, he would have been fine taking the train home should he have scored his ultimate prize. But without the sex he'd made this long trip for, it was him who felt slighted. Chris told him he wouldn't be able to give him a ride home, so did Malik stop? Did he maybe think about the situation he was in and the possible repercussions? Nah, he asked for a cab.
There's any way you can give me a cab?
I'm not going to be able to do that.
Why stop at a cab? Why not just strap a rickshaw to Del Harvey and Xavier and have them tote you back to Brooklyn like a fucking Japanese emperor? With a cab, a TCAP shuttle bus, a rickshaw, and probably a party limo out of the question, Malik Kareem Washington was slapped with the cold hand of reality. The weight of his situation was finally upon him, and his future was suddenly snapped into focus with crystal clarity. He was going to have to walk back to the train station. Could his day possibly get any worse?
The good news is he won't have to make that long walk back to the train station.
Get down! Get down! Get down! Get down! Get down!
The bad news is he'll be getting a ride in a police car to jail.
Stop resisting. Don't resist. Don't resist.
Luckily for Malik, the police were more than happy to cuff him and take him to jail so he wouldn't have to worry about that ride home. It was like a sleepover, only there was a possibility of stabbings, unsafe conditions, substandard food, and paid guards with weapons overseeing a number of potentially dangerous convicts. Basically any Chuck E. Cheese on a Sunday. And this is where the story kind of ends for Malik. There was no interrogation footage released, even though I am 100% positive it would have been the greatest thing ever put on film. But sadly, that was that. According to what I read online, Malik will take a plea deal in exchange for no prison time, and he is on lifetime probation. He is also a lifetime registered sex offender, but there is some reason to believe he is considered minimum risk since his account does not appear online along with the other medium and high risk offenders. And to that I have to say, what the fuck, New York? This 27-year-old man at the time had desires for marathon sex in every orifice with an actual child, and he got away with probation and is a minimum risk sex offender? That just doesn't seem right. As of 2023, that's all I know about Malik Washington, who one day in 2007 fucked around and found out the hard way that sometimes the predators become prey. I don't believe Paris was Malik's first child that he spoke to online, but if there is any justice in this world, it was his last. If you're wondering what he's up to now, you might be interested to know that Rhodes Scholar, mathematician, and certified genius Malik Kareem Washington, the convicted pedophile and one-time star of To Catch a Predator, a man who provided some well-needed diversity to NBC while ushering in a new age of diva entitlement, has found a new hobby. Hip-hop artist. Because of course he did. Here, under the new moniker Leaky Washington, he shares his thoughts on his TCAP appearance just a few years ago.
Look, little nigga, I been here. I ain't kidding around, there's grown men here. I ain't playing no games, I stay in my lane so everybody know that I'm in here. I was one of them niggas whose dreams got shattered, but now I get wins here. Pete and Craig show me the pattern. It's been over 10 years. A loss can make you prepared. Once you learn, you can switch up your gears. Fix your credit and get out of arrears, or your stomach be touching your ribs.
From TCAP to crappy raps, from asking for a ride to representing the East Side, here's to you, Malik Kareem Washington, just one of To Catch a Predator's many unsung zeros. Any questions?
I got a question. Can I get a ride home?
These guys ain't no heroes. They suck. Unsung zeros. Unsung zeros. Unsung zeros. These guys are the worst.
Fuck you, Clobber.